Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geeks and Noobs podcast. So sorry for the late start. Had some technical difficulties, but we are here. So welcome to the Geeks and Noobs podcast. I am your host, SuperBeard and Kel, joined as always by Kel McCosplay, a good dear friend, co-host. And first of all, please, if you can, thank you all for viewing. Thank you all for checking in. Thank you all for tuning in. Please, if you can, if you're on Twitch, hit that follow button, give us a follow. If you're feeling generous, please hit the subscribe button. It's just $5. Or if you have Amazon Prime, have Jeffrey Bezos pay for it and take care of that. Also, if you're on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know every time we go live. If you're on Facebook, hit that follow button, hit that thumbs up button, and share it with all your friends. Please join in on the conversation. We welcome everybody. How's it going? I am having technical difficulties out the wazoo, but we're going to be okay. We are going to be okay. I think. Maybe not. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Okay, we're good. Good, we're good. We're good. Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Right now, we're good.
Jesus. Always a fun time. All right.
Oh, yeah.
And for some reason, Zoom is being weird. Everything's being weird. It's just all being weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. But we're fine. We're here. It is what it is.
It rains, it pours.
It's almost like somebody's messing with the multiverse. Segway. No, we will get to that shortly. Just trying to clear all those notifications off my phone. Oh my god. Okay. Before we get into that, I do want to talk about some other stuff. We have breaking news, especially in the world of DC. DC really popped off. They've added James Gunn as basically their Kevin Feige of what they're now calling the DCU. He's in charge of DC Studios. And I know that for some people, they're like, oh, they're mimicking the MCU. And I'm like, I mean, maybe a little bit, but it's also better to change the moniker. It's the death of the Snyderverse, even though the second part of that news I'll get to.
Yeah.
Kind of like, but it's the end of the Snyderverse. It's the end of the DCEU, and they're moving forward in a new direction. Will they still have characters from the previous iterations? Yes, but they're going to change things up. Shinso, it's been a while since I've seen you. Thank you for popping in. Black Adam is awesome. DC is stepping up their game. I'm actually going to go see it tomorrow. Things have been weird. Haven't been able to go see it, but I am going to go see it tomorrow. I'm going to have a lot of fun doing that. Actually going to go see it at a drive-in too, which is awesome. But
nice.
I mean, it's just like I said, they're going to be including characters from before, but they're going to be, it's similar to what Marvel's doing now with the old Netflix shows and everything else. They're bringing those characters back, but it's going to be a new version of them, an updated version. That's kind of what they're going to be doing from moving forward, DC. So having James Gunn involved as the head or co-head, I forgot who the other guy was.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
It's a smart move, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, I mean, who made two of the best projects for DC in recent history? James Gunn. I mean, the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker were brilliant. And look at what the Guardians of the Galaxy was for the MCU. He gets it. He loves characters, especially obscure ones. So you're going to see other stuff. I think the DCU will move away from Batman in the sense that, like, we're going to have two older, like Ben Affleck's still going to be around, apparently. We also got Michael Keaton, but we've got older, borderline retired Batmans in the DCU, and then the Matt Reeves thing will be its own universe where Batman can stand alone, which I think is the best.
Yeah.
The best option. So, but like I was mentioning before, as great as that is, another great news, which kind of like has forced some like Snyder fans to kind of cling to.
Yeah.
It's the fact that Henry Cavill is coming back and will be Superman. Now, what upset them is he said it would be a much more happy, fun, jovial Superman. That kind of director, that's the kind of director we needed for the first Justice League, and not the other guy. Not talking about Snyder. Yes, absolutely. Josh Whedon was a bad choice.
Yes.
James Gunn would have been a much better choice. I agree wholeheartedly. He also wouldn't have bastardized what Snyder had done. He would have been able to work with that.
Yeah.
But at the time, he hadn't been fired yet. He was still locked in at Marvel. So, Kevin Feige's response, by the way, was brilliant. He says it's a great choice, and I will be first in line to see everything he does. We also know James
Absolutely.
Gunn.
With
Yeah.
this news now, I'm actually excited to go see DC movies now. I mean, I think they'll be much more entertaining. Hopefully, you can have some projects be a little more down to earth, nitty gritty, whatever you want to call it, but you want to have a little bit of fun while you're watching these comic book films. And I
Absolutely.
think that was why the MCU is so successful, just because they balance the harsh tones of certain aspects, but they also have the lighthearted humor, comedy, uplifting moments. And we were missing a lot of that in the DCEU, I thought.
I agree. I agree absolutely.
I mean, really, the DCEU, most of the films, they really just felt like noir films from the 30s and 40s, like just the darkest depths of whatever city it was in, and just the lowest of low lives.
Yeah, I think like the reality of it, I get what you're saying, but like the reality of it is the Batman, Matt Reeves, the Batman was actually a film noir.
Yeah,
But that's because that's what he was shooting for, and that's why it didn't feel out of place. Whereas
yeah,
the other stuff, look, Zack Snyder, I think for all intents and purposes, is a cinematographer masquerading as a director. He has done some great projects. I think the original zombie stuff he did was great. But like if you look at like Sucker Punch and like I think Watchmen's actually really good. I think a lot of people kind of shit on that movie, but if you get the actual director's cut, I think it's called the ultimate cut or something.
yeah, something like that.
It's really really good, but it's also it's more so visually stunning.
Yeah,
Scott Snyder gets away with a lot of things because he's so visually stunning. And
yeah. Visually, this his version was amazing, but from a storytelling standpoint, it was lacking very much in multiple areas.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And so says, I hope they still keep Pattinson as Batman. As far as I know, Pattinson is locked in for a while. Matt Reeves is working on some like side projects for that universe, so they really are building up a solo Batman universe where it's the only time, like, and we've talked about this before, when it comes to Batman, his rogues gallery makes no sense in a world of metahuman
Yeah,
because, like, Superman should be able to lock away all of his rogues gallery in an hour. Like, he should be able to go through Gotham City, snag them all up, and like put them in a Phantom Zone or something, or a better prison than Arkham Asylum.
yeah,
But if you build that Rose Gallery, like there's talk of Clayface, Scarecrow, Professor Pig, in a world where Batman is the only superhero, they are far more terrifying.
yeah.
They are far more effective.
Yeah, it would just be interesting to see how a man in a suit with no actual superpowers, just high tech weaponry, combats these uh, meta like humans. I'm saying meta like because I'm putting Clayface in that because he's not really meta human. He got these abilities from just depending on what version
Which
they want to
origin?
go with.
Yeah, we
Which,
got Bane. Bane is meta like with
yeah,
the
no,
over
let's just say instead of meta human, they're enhanced humans.
enhanced, and that's what I mean. Like none of them would ever work in a world where even the Flash exists or Green Lantern or
Mhm.
anybody. Like the Flash, like I understand the Flash's rogue gallery isn't any better, but at least they work against his powers.
Yeah,
Batman doesn't have powers. The Flash could run through Gotham City and in a minute take them all out.
true.
I wonder who they're going to get as the Flash because Ezra is flocked. I agree, Shinso, but the fact that they brought him back recently, just a month ago, to do reshoots blows my fucking mind. I could
Yeah,
not believe that when I read that. I was legit hurt, and I was just like, "What is Warner Brothers doing?" So as far as I know, they're still standing to their he won't be casting anything in the future stance. So I don't know. I'm a personal fan of them bringing Grant Gustin in as Flash. I think he's a hell of a Flash, but I can also
mm,
understand that you don't want to have an issue with the television show.
yeah.
I guess money does keep you out of jail sometimes. Exactly. Um, I mean, the guy's facing up to 26 years in prison and yet doesn't seem to be hurting for anything. Um, there was talk of oh god, I lost his name. The one from Maze Runner, Dylan.
Oh shoot.
Y'all know who I'm talking about. The lead
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Maze Runner. Um, I think when it comes to the Flash, there's actually a plethora of people. Dylan O'Brien, thank you. There's a plethora of people out there that can do it. There's a plethora of people out there they can get, and with James Gunn there, he will cast. Like they will make sure the right person is cast. I also think James Gunn will actually make sure Ezra doesn't work again, because he won't stand for that shit.
Yeah,
So
let's hope not.
I'm hoping that that's where that goes, and that's what helps. Um, so that's kind of like just the breaking news on the DC front and the stuff that's going on. So one thing we don't get a chance to cover today, we'll talk about it very quickly, but I think we'll do a further breakdown. If you guys enjoy the breakdown we do today, I think we'll do another breakdown for the next MCU special presentation, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special,
Oh my God,
because
that
that
looks
trailer
so
was also
good.
released. That looked, yeah. We can also confirm that Kevin Bacon is indeed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Kevin Bacon.
Yeah,
So there's a chance that uh X-Men First Class is a movie that plays in the MCU.
that would be
If
interesting.
we can find his MCU IMDb, that would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Um, that would be really funny. But yeah, so maybe we'll break that down next week. But this week, boy oh boy. So we're hot on the heels of the end of Phase 4 coming up with Black Panther Wakanda Forever coming out in less than a month. What are we, like, actually a little over 2 weeks away?
Something like that, yeah.
Maybe the dude that played in Top Gun 2, Miles Teller? I have issues with Miles Teller, but as an actor, he might work. Maybe. Oh no, Hangman. That wasn't Miles Teller's character, was it? No, he was. No, the guy who played Hangman because Yeah, that guy. Oh yeah, that's a good choice. Shinso, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. I like that choice. That's a very good choice. Let's find his name. That's a good choice. Um. So we got Black Panther: Wakanda Forever coming out November 11th, technically November 10th because on Thursday. Um. Which I'm really, really excited for. All the reviews, Glenn Powell, yes, that guy. All the reviews for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, except for one, have been very, very well done. I think Miles Teller may have the stink of Fantastic Four on him. Yeah, absolutely. Both personally, he probably doesn't want to do the superhero movie because of that, and the fact that fans would not ever walk away from that. But yeah. So there was one review from a certain TikTok creator who filmed himself in a theater for the Black Adam movie and also swears that Black Adam was a masterpiece, although most people think it's just a popcorn flat film.
It's a
He
rough
thinks
movie.
that he thinks that Black Panther Wakanda Forever isn't that good. Every other critic I've seen says, even though there are certain things to critique about it, it is a very emotional and well done film. So I'm very much looking forward to it. The people that I actually trust with their critiques have been very open and honest about, like, it's not a perfect film, but it is very emotional and very well done, and it is probably one of the strongest MCU films there is. That. So we got that coming up. But on the eve of that, we got what is going to be one of the first films of Phase 5. If you remember Phase 2 of the MCU, that was when things started to hit the fan. It started to hit the fan in Phase 2. Now, they still weren't fully a fully locked in cinematic universe at the time with an end goal. By the time it wasn't until the very end of Phase 2 that they were like, okay, maybe, I think we finally figured out where we really truly want to go with this. They had a plan, but it was kind of more open. Those are actually good points, Shinso. Being in Fantastic Four and flopping does skyrocket you to a bigger hero movie. Think of Chris Evans as Torch and Captain America. Think of Ryan Reynolds from Green Lantern to Deadpool. Yeah.
I mean,
good point. But I think
fair point. That's fair point. Very good point.
Yeah, but I think Miles might actually not want to do another superhero film because of it as well. I think, like I said, there might be a personal thing. The way he's spoken about it. Then again, who knows how much, I'm sure Marvel could throw enough money at him, or DC could throw enough money at him. He could do something else. And maybe going DC first might be a good idea. Similar to how Ryan Reynolds went from DC to Marvel. Actually, he went Marvel, DC, Marvel. But he's a rare gem in and of itself. That being said, back to the point of today. The Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer hit. And it's one of the first films of Phase 5. And it looks to really... First off, it's going to be our first film solely outside of the universe, in a sense, in that it takes place pretty much all in the quantum realm. So that's going to be cool. We're going to really get to explore the quantum realm so much further. And real quick before I think I'll talk about during the trailer about the difference between multiverse and multiple realms. There is a difference.
Yeah.
We did just go to an ad time. I apologize about that. So if you're, I think that those other movies are a little different. The OG Foreign Lantern have fans of those movies. No one that liked Fantastic Four. Regardless, we're going to be building to something here that's going to be pretty amazing, but it also is going to be, this is going to end up being kind of a different take on the Ant-Man movies. This is going to be a different type of story for Ant-Man.
Yeah, because both of his previous movies was about him committing a heist.
And they were comedic, and they were kind of, although connected to the MCU, still kind of standalone films.
Yeah, it was it's really like the first time Marvel did real slapstick kind of style comedy.
Yeah.
In both the films. Just that Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy-esque play on words, slapstick, and they're great movies.
Yeah, I love them. Went back and watched them again. So good. I think this one, while I'm sure we'll still have the comedy in it, is definitely going to be a much darker tone. I mean, this is the first time we're really, you even see it in the trailer, and we'll get to that in the trailer. That this is really the first time that we're seeing a bloodied and beaten Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ant-Man preview definitely. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to watch the trailer here on the channel, and we're going to break it down through the trailer as we go. So there will be, starts and stops, pausing. I mean, hopefully Marvel doesn't DMCA us for this. But, so what we're going to do is I'm going to bring up the trailer. So I'm going to hit the BRB button, and we'll be back in 10 seconds. was weird. Okay, let's try that again.
Gotta love technology. Gotta love technology.
I used to ask myself a lot of questions. I used to ask myself a lot of questions. I used to ask myself a lot of questions. I used to ask myself a lot of questions. I used to ask myself a lot of questions. I used to ask myself a lot of questions. I used to ask myself a lot of questions.
Okay. We got it.
Woo.
We got it. Yeah, I know we shouldn't get a decent, but I'm not gonna mute the sound because I want to actually listen to it with you guys, and we're gonna start and stop it and play it along. Because it's all very important. So this is the trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and here we.
I used to ask myself a lot of questions. Scott, you're at ex-con. How are you an Avenger? That doesn't make sense. But everywhere I go, people tell me the same thing.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
So first off, right there, again, it gives you a very, once again, happy-go-lucky feeling, very much just like the other ones that we got. Very much the whole vibe of the first two Ant-Man films. He's, as we've learned from like Miss Marvel and other things, that he's been very open about being an Avenger. He's done podcasts. He's written books. He's in the Rogers musical as being at the first Battle of New York because of the way he's told the story. And I think what has happened, I don't think that he has put himself in the Battle of New York necessarily. I believe that when he was telling the story of what was Endgame, where they went back in time and he ended up in 2012's Battle of New York, that got misconstrued as he was at the Battle of New York.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I think just him kind of being not so humble about the whole situation and then talking about it, then like a game of telephone, it got slightly misconstrued, and then the person who wrote Rogers' musical thought that he was there originally, going to the point of, yeah, this is it. But you see him at premieres, like he got some kind of, it was from what I understand, that premiere that red carpet event was like a humanitarian award. He was getting an award for being an Avenger. He's really reveling in the idea of being a superhero / celebrity. However, he does still continue to get humbled, like this coffee clerk who tells him, thank you, Spider-Man. Because he's still, and again, this is where I think Marvel's slightly meta. Just like they were very meta in She-Hulk and very aware of what people are saying, that I think Marvel realizes that the fans still don't view Ant-Man as a very significant part of the MCU. And so even though he is reveling in the whole being an Avenger celebrity aspect of it, high-fiving that kid, which, by the way, that kid is not Miles Morales. That theory and rumor needs to stop right now. Stop it. Stop.
Yeah.
He'd already
Morales
established
is in New York, not San Francisco.
Yeah, and he was already established way back in Homecoming.
Yeah.
That kid's too young.
Way too young.
Even if he got blipped, he's too young. Regardless, he's also an Ant-Man fan, not a Spider-Man fan. He's got an Ant-Man
because he
backpack.
legit had an Ant-Man backpack.
But this is in San Francisco. This is playing on and the fact that yes, he is a celebrity, but he is not anywhere near the echelon. Like, he is at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to, like, Hawkeye was much more of a celebrity we saw in the Hawkeye series than even Ant-Man. And that was, I think, the point of this scene. We'll go on from there.
People still need help, Dad.
That's why we made this.
It's like a satellite for deep space, but quantum.
Wait a minute. You're sending a signal down to the quantum realm. Turn it off. Now!
Okay. So, before we get into this, I do want to mention, I know we've had a discussion on this podcast before when we had our friend McGruber on, how using like jukebox music in movies has become too much of a trend to the point where it's starting to pull people out. However, I do feel that Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. First of all, Elton John's an icon. Second of all, one of my favorite songs by Elton John is Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. But I think it's a perfect song here, especially the way they manipulate this song. So it played normally in the beginning when he's having the happy-go-lucky moment, but as this quantum device started to suck them in, you heard it like become much more aggressive and dark, the dark orchestrated version of it.
Yeah.
So what we see here is that Cassie and somebody else, she said, we built this. And from the smile on Hank Pym's face is I think that he's really taken to Cassie because she is, genius level intellect. Her father, a mechanical engineer, fairly close to genius level intellect. Cassie is like leaps and bounds ahead of him, it seems. And they probably worked on this together kind of in private. Maybe even Janet helped a little bit. We don't know, because her look of surprise at her mother's reaction. Of course, Janet knows sending a signal down there is a bad idea because she knows what actually went on down there in her 30 years down there. Now, one more thing I want to address. People have talked about, well, when Scott was there, it was only 5 minutes for him, but it was 5 years for everybody else. Janet couldn't have been down there that long. No, Janet spent a full 30 years in the quantum realm. The reason that Scott was only 5 minutes for his 5 years is because he got stuck in the time vortex that she warned him to watch out for. She wasn't in a time vortex, so she just had to walk through. So she spent 30 years down there and has obviously not told her family everything, and probably has barely told them anything.
Probably, yeah.
And we're going to see more of that here in the trailer. But the look of sheer panic on her face, of course, Michelle Pfeiffer is fantastic. That look of sheer panic on her face, knowing what's going on in the quantum realm, it leads me to believe that this version of Kang that we're getting might have been trapped in the quantum realm because Janet stole something from him to stop him. And later on, we'll hear him ask, something was stolen from me, and Scott, you're the only person to get it. So I still think there will be a bit of the heist aspect that have been in the other two films in this film.
I got that vibe as well.
But the twist of the music as they get sucked into the quantum realm, I thought was brilliant.
Oh yeah.
And interesting enough, as you watch, it's very interesting that that device, which created like a blue ball of energy, which later on in the trailer we see it looks like those same types of orbs are what's powering Kang's devices and his army's devices.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like everything else got sucked in. The table, the room started to get pulled in. The device itself never got sucked in.
Yeah, it's
that
like it
was
had it.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, it's like it had its own little protective force shield from it pulling into itself.
Yeah.
Like somehow whatever was pulling everything else in kept it from pulling itself in.
But what it also does is that it doesn't allow them to have the device in the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And I think that's smart writing on the farm of the script writers, as well as set design and whatever. Because if the device had gone in there, they could possibly retrofit the device to just get them back. But the fact that the device stays in our realm while they get sucked into the quantum realm is it's also our first look at what's her name?
Cassie.
Yeah, the new Cassie.
Yeah.
Because they did recast Cassie. Catherine Newman.
Yeah.
So it's our first look at her, Cassie, in the trailer. So let's keep going. It's played on church organs.
Yeah.
Where are we?
I gotta stop it right there. First off, absolutely gorgeous.
Yes. Stunning.
This, I understand it's all digital. Obviously, you can't even make something like this. However, it is absolutely fascinating. And I saw a theory about these lava-like. I'm pointing to my screen as if you can see what the. You kind of can. It's on the camera. Right here. So these lava-like flows that seemingly are flowing up
Use your
and
mouse.
down. Some are flowing up. Some are flowing down. Time. It is time that is being siphoned off into the quantum realm. And it's part of how Kang, how he who remains in Loki was able to control the time and keep a sacred timeline. This Kang can use this to jump through time, possibly. So I believe this might be it's obviously some form of energy down there in the quantum realm. I believe it's time. And again, it's just the quantum realm is so visually stunning. Marvel has just nailed it.
Yeah. Even if it's not time, it could be some sort of energy from other realms that Kang has figured out how to pull into the quantum realm to power his devices or whatever he's got planning.
Yeah.
But also, I want to bring this up before we start it up again. There is been a lot, and I mean a lot, of Wizard of Oz references here within Phase 4 of the MCU. I mean, we had a good witch versus a bad witch in WandaVision, and then a bad witch going after a young girl in Multiverse of Madness, being America Chavez and Wanda. And then we even got
Werewolf by Night, the straight up reference in Werewolf by Night.
Somewhere over the rainbow in Werewolf by Night.
As well as the going from black and white to Technicolor.
Yeah.
The ruby red slipper reference of the Bloodstone.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of
even in Loki, we had the Guardians of the Sacred Timeline being puppets.
The Grand Wizard of Oz, effect with He Who Remains. And so there is definitely a lot in this Phase 4 that has played to Wizard of Oz. And I mean, short of having a munchkin hanging in the background of your scene, the amount of references we've gotten, that's a reference to an old urban legend. But like legit, like, yeah, we have had so many Wizard of Oz references, and there's more coming, and we're gonna get them in this as well. Okay, I don't know who that is.
No, not a clue.
But I keep thinking I know who it is, and I don't. Like, for some reason, that look reminds me of somebody.
Yeah, I watching some other videos today. Somebody, I think it was Eric Voss from oh dang, what is it?
New Rockstars.
New Rockstars. Thank you. He said the armor looks slightly celestial, but with the head being the way it is, it kind of reminds me of like Miss Minutes from Loki. Just an orange circle, but with this you have a cylinder, judging from the background.
What was that Marvel storyline in comics where like it turned out that Nick Fury stole the eye of the Watcher and everybody's Original Sin?
Yeah.
There's a character in that. And this is what I'm thinking. And this is the only thing I can really think of. Trying to see if I can find the character. See if I can find him. Orb, I think is who I'm thinking of. Yeah, so there's a character named Orb. And he's just got a huge eye on it as for a head. And I feel like this might be an MCU version of that character.
Okay.
That's the only one I can think of. But the fact that everybody else in this scene, guards and everything, are kind of generic, and there's like multiple versions of them, and then there's this guy front and center with a very unique look. I feel like he's got to be somebody. Just don't know who.
Yeah, he would have to be somebody, even if it's a redesign like you think. He's got to be somebody who has some kind of karmic significance. Otherwise, they wouldn't put him front and center like this in the trailer.
Feature got it. I was going to say Aura, but I couldn't remember his name. Yeah. So I feel like he is definitely somebody. The fact that he's highlighted in this trailer, he's obviously like a high-level person in Kang's army leading these people, but everybody else, like I said, is kind of generic. There's like groups of them. This guy definitely has to be somebody. So we'll have to just wait and see, I guess.
Yeah. Or
go ahead.
There are a few people. I'm actually glad you stopped it right here at this point, because we see there are some people, like we have these guys in the red, on one guy on the right hand of the screen, two on the left, that are very similar, and the others look like they're with a different kind of a faction. They look like they're from amongst like the same race of type of people, but they could be rebelling against Kang. That could also be a possibility.
Oh, they could be the rebel forces.
Yeah, because
but that also means that he's got to be somebody in the comics.
Yeah. So I don't know. We just have to wait and see who these people are. I'm willing to bet they're a rebel force of some sort. That's my
guess.
You
know what? I think you might be right now that I think about it, because at first I was like, I don't know, because obviously Scott gets brought to Kang, but he could be brought to Kang through a rebellion attack and get captured. Yeah. And the reason I'm now thinking that you might be onto something here is because later on when we see Kang's army, they are very uniform.
Yes.
And Kang is the type of person that it would be very uniform.
Going back to, let's just make the comparison, like Kang's army being the Empire and these guys being the rebels.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't have, rebels never had matching uniforms unless you were like an officer. They were just a bunch of ragtag groups of different people from different planets.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
I should have stayed on the farm. I should have listened to my own mind.
It's a secret universe beneath ours.
I'm going to stop it there. I wish I had stopped it a second earlier. Maybe I can. Right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Eric Voss had a theory on this, and I agree with him.
Yeah.
This particular scene. Now, what you're seeing here could be the I keep pointing at my screen like y'all can see it.
Use your mouse.
Well, I can't. Oh, can I? Can you see my? Oh, you can't see my mouse.
Yeah.
Hey, cool. All right, sweet. I thought I had turned that off. All right, so right here, right here. Technology's hard, guys. All right, so right here, my initial thought was this was all of their bodies coming into the quantum realm, like almost like meteors.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, Cassie, Janet, Hank. This is them coming into it. However, Eric Voss had a theory, and I actually kind of agree with it, that this right here is actually Janet Van Dyne during her 30 years. And this is Kang, this version of Kang, this variant of Kang, getting sucked into the quantum realm, possibly during that great battle of Kang. All the Kangs, the Great War that we learned about in Loki. And so this particular part, because it does seem to see these here, and we see them other places, what look like vortexes or, upside down tornadoes. Those are probably the time vortexes.
Yeah, because if you go back and watch Endgame, when they're traveling through the time stream, when you
It's
look
like tunnels.
yeah, it's like their helmets would visualize on one specific tunnel and then take that. So that's really what it looks like to me here.
Yeah. So this is possibly Janet seeing Kang coming in, and this could lead to where she does steal something from him, learning who he is.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
What are you so afraid of? There's something I never told you.
Stop right there before we get the big Kang reveal.
Yeah.
So, yes, obviously, Janet has not told them everything, and why would she? One rumor is that her and Bill Murray's character actually had a relationship. She was down there for 30 years, probably thought she'd never get out. So, there is talk of a possible relationship there. We saw, again, more visuals, more cool stuff. But this right here, you're going to see it again as Kang enters on his ship. It seems to be something that he's using to power his stuff. Similar to the orb that actually sucks them into the quantum realm.
Yeah, the only difference is it seems like this one's contained in some kind of a glass sphere.
Now,
to maybe
think
harness
back to
and control the power better.
Think back all the way to Captain America, the First Avenger. Do you remember when they first started, when the Red Skull and Armanzola started toying with the Cosmic Cube, the Tesseract?
Yeah.
And having to control the power of it, like the kind of blue orb-like blast out, then they contained it in some type of glass vessel.
Yep.
I feel like, and that's the space tone where you can travel through space, with it. So I think we're getting something similar here. Now, I'm not trying to bring back the Infinity Stones by any stretch of the imagination. They are long since done and over with. But something similar, a similar aspect of the power. So yeah, I agree that this is containing that.
This place. It isn't what you think.
Again, these orbs, very similar to the ones that Cassie's machine created. Some type of quantum energy. And again, a very uniform army. They're all wearing the exact same thing. So back to your Rebels theory, I think you might be right. I also think it's incredibly impressive. The rest of the quantum realm is very harsh, although beautiful, harsh wasteland. Everybody's dressed almost like Sakaar outskirts. Here we have a metropolis-like structure. There's a big military complex, and then the city that kind of rolls up. And my first thought was, did you ever see the movie Elysium with Matt Damon?
Yes.
That gyroscopic world where the whole, that kind of thing. Very spherical.
Yeah, going back on my first thoughts, I was thinking the Halo video games.
Yeah.
Because even the towers are very Forerunner-esque from that series.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely very much a thing. And we get like what seemed to be almost like, to do a Star Wars comparison, like X-Wings and then transport. Like your individual fighter and probably are carriers of multiple.
Yeah. Going back to another sci-fi show I love, when I first saw the little fighters that you're saying, I thought of the giant Ori ships from Stargate SG-1.
Yeah, yeah. And there's another movie called The Arrival, or Arrival, with Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I recommend everybody see that movie. Arguably one of the best representations of time in that film. She's brought in to try to decipher this alien language of these alien pillars that have come down, and there's these like weird, like squid-like aliens, and they speak in a language that looks like hieroglyphics, but it's all round. Now, there's different things on those round things, like there's different little sprouts on them, and helps her create a language. But they write that way because that's how they view time. Non-linear.
Yeah.
And the same thing we got in Loki, how it's non-linear. It's all circular. Everything happening all at once.
Now, jumping into another genre that I absolutely love, the language of the Time Lords from Doctor Who. It's all very circular, circles within circles, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it feels like it feels like that Marvel is taking that non-linear aspect of time very seriously in their approach to time travel, in approach to how time works. And again, like the sacred timeline was just a circular line. Everything that's happened, there's a very circular aspect to it. Even when they time travel, you can't change the past because it's already happened. You going back to the past has already happened, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What you think?
Real quick. Right here.
Real quick.
This, as you see the rings around his ship and whatnot, and again, that motif of rings, these are more like this looks like maybe a failed attempt at the first ship, or the first, whatever he's trying to create, whatever Kang is trying to create. This may have been what failed due to Janet stealing whatever she stole. So this feels like, and that's where Kang is meeting him and showing him what has happened and why it, trying to like play off of sympathy. And I think that's something that Thanos tried to do as well, possibly subconsciously. I know that Eric Voss had talked about how Thanos was really the protagonist of Infinity War and Endgame, and how Kang is now really the protagonist. I don't agree with either one of those. They're absolutely the villains. They're absolutely the antagonists.
Oh, yeah.
Thanos was not right, especially since snapping away half of existence snaps away half of the food, so everybody's still in the same space that they were when he said that people were starving. It's about power-hungry people thinking they're right. And that's what the best villains do, is they believe they're the hero, but they're not. So I want to get that out there. I do not think Kang is the protagonist. I do not think he is absolutely the antagonist. He is absolutely the villain. Just because he thinks he's right doesn't mean he is.
Right.
But this is a very interesting...
Even a certain mustache German from the 1930s thought he was right.
Yep. He saw himself as the hero. Said it. A lot. All right, so I find this to be very interesting. So I believe that this might be...
And Kang could be showing Scott this to get sympathy, to coax him to help. But we don't know what his actual end game is.
Exactly. Trying to use Scott, basically.
Yeah.
So in those last two scenes, there's again more circular stuff. Rings very circular.
Go back before this February.
There we go.
There you go.
So this is this is the language. We saw that, that very memed image from the chair where Quantumania is spelled very weirdly. The very weird language. This is it. She's spiraling this. And then spears here. I've seen some people like equate it to the 10 rings, and that maybe the 10 rings and the band from Miss Marvel, which could be
Miss Marvel, yeah.
It could be the Nega band or it could be the Quantum bands. I actually don't believe that. I don't believe that, at least in this, the 10 rings or the bangle from Miss Marvel have anything to do with it, because they're cosmic based. They're not sending a signal to the quantum realm. The 10 rings were sending a signal out into space. The bangle from Miss Marvel swapped Carol Danvers and Kamala in space. I believe they will be cosmic oriented, and this is a quantum thing. But I believe that just the circular motif will transcend all of the multiverse saga. And we're going to see a connection between the quantum realm, the cosmic air, the cosmic universe and all that stuff. But I do believe, because look at like the Eternals, and their powers were all very circular. Like everything that like Phasmus did was circular. Everything was, I just think it's part of the motif right now. So I do not think the 10 rings will play a part in what Kang is doing. Now he may be, once he gets out of the quantum realm, he may look for them to continue his mission. I don't think they have anything to do with the quantum realm or him escaping the quantum realm. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Bill Murray.
Bill.
Now, it's unclear who he's actually playing. There's been rumors that he's playing Kylar, which is actually a Hulk villain. But he does live in the microverse. So there's a possibility of a different version of Kylar there. Complete scumbag of a character. So that's a possibility. But like, I also like that we got like a canteen like Star Wars bar.
Yeah, a little cantina.
Yeah, like I thought that was pretty cool. We've got a bunch of very unique characters. Like the one guy looked like he was completely unraveling, but he made it stylish, almost like like suave in a way.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So yeah, we got a unique cast of characters.
I can get you hope. And give you more time.
So this is an interesting scene. Scott's running. There are thousands of versions of him running. There's a giant man version of him running and unraveling. Some have speculated that these are variants. I think more so this is an effect of the quantum realm playing a mind trick on him. And maybe Kang has a part in that. I don't necessarily believe these are variants. I believe that like the TVA sits in its own realm, kind of outside of realms, similar to like how the Watcher sat outside of the multiverse. I don't necessarily believe these are variants of him. I just think that's like different ways he could have maybe it's like a visual representation of Kang killing him thousands of times, different variants of himself unraveling. And I know one theory said that like it's similar to how the TVA prunes people, just almost in slow-mo, like they're unraveling through time. Maybe he's just being shown that no matter what happens, if he doesn't help, this is his fate. Think back like when Mysterio tricked Spider-Man with the holograms, fighting a zombied Iron Man and all that other stuff. That kind of thing. All right.
If you help me,
I'm sorry. How badass is this?
Right.
First off, incredibly comic accurate. And I was like, how are they gonna pull off the blue face thing? Because his face is not actually blue. It's part of the helmet he wears. But the lines in his face are there, but now they've made the lines scars. And
Which
they could
I think
be scars.
is brilliant.
Yeah. It could be scars from the Great Battle.
I mean, they could have easily,
War.
if this is a protective visor, like an energy visor over his face that makes it look blue, then adding those scars to his physical face shows that, yes, this Kang version has been through battles. And the fact that he has both of them across both eyes, you know, he could have been tortured at some point, given these scars, or something along those lines.
I think it's from the Great War.
Yeah, well, I would probably definitely.
Uh,
Because the He Who Remains in Loki talked about there was a great battle between his variants.
Yeah.
So this version could have been like the worst of the worst. So they marked him to symbolize that this is the one we need to look out for, or something. But we won't know
This-
really until we
this
get to see
right
it.
here
Just
this-
awesome.
is Kang we have to worry about. This is Kang the Conqueror.
Yes.
This is the bad guy, and I'm having lots of fun doing this with my mouse. Okay. But yeah, so I mean, just so badass. So badass. Another immediate pause. Updated Wasp look, giving her far more yellow to help contrast Scott's red. Of course, we get Cassie in her purple stature outfit. Which I feel, again, talking back to when they created that device, I think Hank and Cassie were doing shit on the side, not telling anybody. And Kang and Hank made her a suit. I think Hank is really like almost like a all that time lost with Janet with Hope after Janet left or was sucked into the quantum realm, where he became like a very distant father.
Yeah.
I think he's gravitated towards Cassie because she's very much like Hope, but also the best of Scott. And so now he's kind of like subconsciously trying to make up for it by taking care of Cassie and gravitating towards her, giving her like almost spoiling her in a way.
Yeah. Like
So
be the grandchild that he never had. So
yeah, exactly. Because technically, if these two end up married, because they are still together, as we saw earlier in the trailer,
yeah.
granddaughter. But again, I like that this is a very Wasp-esque suit.
Oh yeah.
It's the most Wasp we've gotten. I like that they went for
I'm digging the suit. I
pixie
didn't really
haircut.
like it in Ant-Man and Wasp, where their suits kind of matched. I thought it was a little tacky. I think they needed to have a little more contrast.
Yeah.
Than what we got before. But I absolutely love the new Wasp suit. I think it fits perfectly.
One other thing to point out, and you can kind of see it. The pin particles are no longer in their wrist.
Yeah.
Actually, almost like arc reactors in the chest. And I think that's to keep from accidental button presses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Similar to what we got in Endgame when Scott was nervous and he hit the thing and like, oh, we have one left, you know.
Yeah.
So, but obviously, again, setting up Young Avengers here. Again, they're really going for that. Marvel obviously has plans beyond that 10-year plan they've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
They're obviously planning to just keep going, almost as if like it's the comic books. Create a realm where these things can just keep on going.
Yeah, we got
They
a
will never
comment
show
on
the OG
Facebook.
Wasp outfit. No, they won't show the OG Wasp outfit because it was
Yeah.
kind of sexist.
Very.
It was drawn to just make her a hot, and she was also very, like, for lack of a better term, very slutty in the
Very.
comics back then. She was hitting on everybody, even though she was married to Hank Pym. She hit on everyone, and that was just to make her that. That's what they did with women back then, unfortunately, and that's a shame. But she did grow into a very important character. But yeah, I appreciate the look of these.
Yeah, except in the Ultimate universe, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
So, what's it gonna be? Ant-Man.
Also, that scene is very in the trailer. It's in the trailer for a reason. We know that there's a scene where he's like, "Oh, you messed up. I'm an Avenger." And he's like, "Have I killed you before? There's been so many, I forget." But the reason they showed this particular scene is because of the whole, "Hey, thank you, Spider-Man." He keeps getting humbled because even though he is an Avenger, some people still look at him. Is he Spider-Man? Is that who he is? He's kind of forgettable.
Yeah, because you
Ant-Man-
have two insect-themed
Yeah.
superheroes.
And you also have a
So-
Black Widow who's, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Kang very much knows this and is playing to his ego
Yeah.
because Kang is incredibly intelligent. Okay. So that was the trailer for Ant-Man Quantumania. We will be right back. Okay. Made the switch. There we go. So that trailer is brilliantly done. There's stuff we know that we're gonna get that we didn't see, like the return of Darren Cross, aka gonna be MODOK. They purposely didn't show that, and I think that was smart on Marvel's part. Even though people know he's there, people know from the San Diego Comic-Con footage that he's in the movie. But the fact that all that stuff happened when that person made like their own rendition of it, and people thought it was actual art, and people went nuts on it. That I think that they purposely left it out. Now, on that, there was leaked camera footage of that footage, and it showed a very similar, like a full robot version of MODOK. But here's what I think. If it is Darren Cross, as it's supposedly supposed to be, he was, of course, mangled when he got sucked into the quantum realm, right?
Yeah, because it looked like he was being sucked in limb
by
by
limb.
limb.
So what if that robot figure, that's just a mask? During the battle, that gets blown off, and in the end, we get the real MODOK, and it's this deformed, oversized head version of Darren Cross. Like, that's a possibility. That Kang found this dilapidated being, put him in this machine, and turned him into a mechanical organism designed only for killing. And so that look that was spread around with that concept art and spread around with the leak might just be like a first version.
Yeah.
So let's not worry about MODOK too much. But all in all, this trailer is phenomenal. It's a much darker tone, much more serious tone for any of the Ant-Man films. And I think what it does is it elevates Ant-Man, just like how Ant-Man wants to be elevated to be an important Avenger in the eyes of the world. this elevates Ant-Man in the MCU to an important stature. But could also be his death.
Yeah.
He may not come out of this. That's the feeling I got anyway. He is not going to survive this.
Yeah, because not only with Janet and Hank and Hope and Cassie getting sucked in, it really does feel like he's going to have to make a choice to, save them or something that could ultimately be his end. And he might have to make an Iron Man-like decision.
But I also feel like they're going to fail because Kang has to get out of the quantum realm.
Yeah.
So I also think his sacrifice might, in a way, be for naught. Unless they're going to use it to keep Kang trapped just a little bit longer, and maybe the events of Loki season 2 play more into that.
It's a possibility. I hadn't thought about that yet.
So, because we know he'll obviously be a part of that.
Also talking about that, how do we know in Loki season 2 that the Kang we're getting here is the Kang that has taken over the TVA?
True, although that statue did look a lot like the Kang we had. Yeah. Had this facial scars, the same exact outfit on. So I think it's the same Kang, but it could be a different one. I think Jonathan Majors has said before he's going to play multiple versions of himself.
Exactly, yeah.
So it could be a different one. So maybe we won't get
it could be another variant that aligned himself with this version of Kang. But maybe
we're getting the Kang Dynasty, which is the Council of Kangs.
Yeah.
So maybe. All in all, let us know what you guys thought about the trailer, what you expect from the movie. Thank everybody for tuning in. As always, if you're on Twitch, please hit that follow button. If you're feeling ever so generous, please subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. It helps grow the channel. You can always use your Amazon Prime subscription and have Jeffrey Bezos pay for it. If you're on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Every time we go live, and share it with your friends. If you're on Facebook, please hit the thumbs up, hit the follow button, and share it with all your friends. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you guys like this, please let us know. Maybe next week we'll do a breakdown of the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special trailer. And any other news that coming up. We've also got, hopefully, Kel can get to see Ant-Man this weekend. And we'll do an Ant-Man review as well. Maybe we'll do a supplemental episode. Or
Black Adam.
Yes. I kept saying Ant-Man. Hopefully he gets to see Black Adam this weekend.
I would love to watch Ant-Man right now.
Yeah, that would be great. We're going to go see Quantumania tomorrow. No,
tomorrow.
Hopefully he can see it this weekend. Maybe we'll do a supplemental episode like we did for Werewolf by Night. Because I feel like next week is going to be all by the trail. Unless we both decide we want to do a full episode on that, and maybe we'll do a supplemental episode of the holiday special. But regardless, we'll figure it out. We'll do something. You guys let us know what you think. Thank everybody for tuning in. We love you guys. In the words of Kevin Pereira, kisses, hugs, and belly rubs. And we will see you guys next week.